say about the state of things in the world today. Well, I know you're real, that's why it turned out this way. So please don't fear, never turn away. Never turn away. Never turn away. Never turn away. The weak shall be strong, I say. Never turn away. Don't go down the road today. Never turn away. 'Cause wisdom is found all around. What can I say? Your shadow fell on me today. What should I do? What should I do?
That is longing for the moon, where the moonlight's but a spotlight in his eyes. Desire. But softly, as the tune comes from his throat, drum, 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 drum.
Where's the true human rights today? I see happiness just washed away. And I'm not of deception. They come this way, deceiving and being deceived. Never turn away. Where's the true human rights today? I see happiness just washed away. Clear the smoke, let me hear what you have to say. What can I say? You shadow fell on me today. Where's the truth? You
Because we're colored. So we down here on the edge of hell, in the face of what we remember. So go down here on the edge of hell and look out on the world and wonder what we're gonna do in the face of what we remember. And look out on the world and wonder what we're gonna do in the face of what we remember.
to Maria Orsic's
The Negro
ritual.
with the trumpet at his lips has dark moons of
Remember,
weariness beneath his eyes,
recover,
where the smoldering
return
memory of slave ships
is
blazed
the
to the crack of
woman's
whips about his thighs.
mantra original.
The Negro with the trumpet at his lips.
3 words to describe her religion, her original religion, which is, as she said to me so many years ago in the Earth simulation, the religion of eternal true love. This is episode number 6. And I want to say, hail Maria, hail the dancer of the green thunderbolt, the shaman woman of Austria who saved everyone, period. Give thanks to her. And I do these talks for her and for our people. And I wish much vril to our people. And in this talk, I am going to attempt to summarize and organize my life story up until the official start of the Aldebaran initiation, which was led by Maria Orsic, because she is my ancestral teacher. Just a fancy way of saying she is the ancestor my DNA relates closest to in this select group who are initiated teachers. That's what it means to be a goddess. As she said when I first re-met her in the simulation, in the ritual, she said, I'm a goddess. Do you know what that means? And I said, no. And she said, it means I know a little more than you, and I have a little more power than you, and I can teach you. It's not more mystical than that. Everything that Maria is about is practical and real, and everything she teaches is practical and real. One of the things is just to learn her language. Vril, I say many times, much vril to our people, much vril to Maria. Well, what is vril? This is her definition, quote, on the road to an orgasm, there is a corner you turn, and something, which is your true self, says to your mind, you are going to have an orgasm. Many times it comes out of our mouth, I am going to come. I don't mean that in a rude, crude way. This is vril. That's that corner you turn that sort of picks you up and delivers you to the destiny, which is the release of the power. From the turn of that corner to the release is vril. That time, that power that's carrying you to the climax is vril. In the teaching section, I will go into how she taught me how to direct that energy. But it's basically that simple that you direct it. And that was just a side note. So, respect, recognition, and deep thank you to our Vril mother, our people. She has been working in your life before you ever knew it. That's what she does. So, on to trying to help our people understand my story. I'm going to be as clear as possible. So in the talks, I started out saying that when I was 7 years old, Maria's UFO was hovering over my parents' weeping willow tree in the middle of the night, sometime in late August. She explained to me that she came to see me because I was her spiritual son, and that she cared about me and wanted me to know that she knew about and was aware of what was happening to me and how I didn't understand what was happening. And I went on to explain that trying to tell the adults about this frightened me to no end. I thought I was going to be put into a mental institution. At some point it was an attack. Like, looking back, I can't believe that, kids can endure these things, but we do. And then some 14 years later, with my two best friends, Scotty and Timmy, at the Lollapalooza show, the same UFO hovered above the stage, as I said, and then out in the parking lot, it met us no more than 150 feet away. We could hear it, we could smell it, we could feel it, and it made us all feel so great. That was a fulfillment of when I was a little boy. She said, I promise to return in this vehicle so you'll know it's me. And as I explained, I had been so traumatized that I, convinced myself that, or it's not even that I had to, I just had to not ever speak about it, what happened to me when I was young. So by the time I was 21 years old and had that happen, that I did not connect the two things at all. Maybe it's like Maria said, I have a tendency, naturally, that the focus of my mind is not on my 5 sense reality. So in a sense, it didn't even matter in the 5 sense reality that the UFO had came twice, because the real revelation was what is reality. So deep in my unconscious, I didn't even care that something came physically, because the physical is temporary and all that. And see, I did not know who I was if I knew who I was, I would have known my focus. And that leads perfectly into the first part of the initiation was a test question, because an initiation is a test. At any point you can fail, and you have to go back over and do it again until you learn. There's no tricking the gods. And let me take a second and be very clear. First of all, I did not know the initiation had begun some 6 months earlier, because that is the essential part of a test, is that you don't know you're being tested. So the initiation I found out after began with the question that came from a neon skull: are you afraid? And if I had been afraid, it was over. And I don't know what would have became of anything. But it just came out of me. No, I'm not afraid. That's where it began. But I did not know it began there. So let me go to all the places I left off earlier. When I was 21 years old in 1991, I took 8-9 grams of mushrooms on accident. Left my body, as I talked about in a previous talk. I truly thought I died. And as I approached the line that I understood, if I go over this, I can't come back to Earth. I thought that was happening in real time. But once you leave your body, you're outside of time. Now, I didn't understand what happened to me when I was 21 or 20, I can't even remember, until I was 40. Because then I understood what I seen when I was 20 was a memory of what has already happened and was not happening in real time. This is essential to understanding my story. If you understand this, you will understand the magic and genius of Maria Orsic and how our true selves can truly come up with something impressive. I'm going to do my best. So, when I was 20 and was out of my body and thought I died, I really only knew one person close to me who had died previous. That was my best friend Scott's brother, Brad. This is an essential detail. Scott had 3 brothers. Of the 3, him and Brad looked the most alike, and the other 2 looked alike. This is essential to understand the magic of what we did. And we did it before we were conscious of it. And we could do it because we're in a simulation. Okay? So when I was 20 years old and I walked up to this white light in a crowd of people in a line that I knew, if I cross over this, I'm dead and I can't come back to Earth. When I finally decided to walk in and die, I was grabbed on the shoulder and a voice said, "Joe." I looked and I was about to say, "Brad." But as the word was about to come off of my lips, I woke up. I sat up on the couch and said, "Oh my God, I'm not going to die." Okay? So let me take you 20 years in the future to the official beginning of Maria Orsic's as the teacher of an Aldebaran initiation into what? I have never revealed it yet. The initiation was to be initiated into a group of people who, for one reason or another, have to live separated from their true love and friendship. There's marriages who are more than one person. For example, let's take 3, right? And one of the people, this is my case, one of the people is of a different race. Where we live now in the future of 2023, outside of the simulation, the races are separated by planets. White people live on Venus, Asians live on Mars, Africans live on Jupiter, etc. And these are all domed cities with complete climate control, so it doesn't even matter. Where we totally visit each other, but we're not allowed to permanently live. So, my magic marriage includes a Vietnamese woman with me, Irish, my wife, Irish, Northern European, we should say, goes for mixtures of all kinds of. And this is the only way to permanently live together. And the way this happens is similarly to how people are punished. Except the people who are being punished are assigned a simulation. The people initiated into imagining their own worlds are put into technology, and they literally in the physical world are laying in a bed forever. And they live in a technology that allows them to create a simulation like the one we live in right now. Except everything is created by the people connected. For me, it would be me and the 2 women. Other people imagine their own worlds for other reasons. Some people do it alone, but no one does it without the approval and initiation of the Aldebaran gods. It's not even your choice. It's their choice. It's their technology. And why would I have to come to the Earth simulation for the initiation? For the polarity of experience and the direct experience to evil and sadness, sickness, and everything else that has been eliminated on Venus. And might I say, and I didn't like this when I first heard it, it's all been eliminated by our good government, which is actually the people, in a rotating voluntary system of men and women selected by the Aldebaran gods. And there's technology that watches everything. So, if you wanted that kind of privacy in a dome city, you're not going to get it. But back to the initiation. So, 20 years previous, I thought I died, and I walked into death, and I thought my best friend's brother, Brad, the only person I knew who had died up until then, I thought he grabbed me, right? And I woke up right then. So I'm 40 years old now, 20 years later. A month previous, I had been talking to the Missouri River goddess, and she had told me she was my ancestor, and that I had been talking about doing a 5-gram mushroom trip by myself, like Terence McKenna suggested. I had read Graham Hancock's book Supernatural, and I think he suggested Terence McKenna. And Terence McKenna was the first person I heard say, you can be your own shaman. Take 5 grams of mushrooms in a dark room alone, go inside yourself and see who you are. And as Maria said, that makes him a great man. Doesn't matter anything else he did. He was a great man for bringing that back to his people. We're not on anybody's side. We're truth. So on the Missouri River Goddess's advice, I took 5 grams of mushrooms. I laid down in a bed, and I was vibrating with energy. I closed my eyes. I was listening to some kind of trance music, a real mellow instrumentals, as she suggested. And I began to see beautiful colors and geometry. And it was like I was zooming, I was flying somewhere, I was going somewhere. And it all turned white. And I started to see a scene, and I started to be inserted into the scene. And to my utter amazement, the scene materialized, and I was the split second of the 20-year previous moment. That's where it began. That split second that it ended with Brad grabbing my shoulder in the death realm, in the white light. And I turned and I said, But now it was 20 years later. And I looked and I expected to see Brad. And I went, but, and I stopped and I said, Scotty? It wasn't Brad. It was Scott, my best friend, from since first grade. And a year previous to this 5-gram mushroom trip, 1 year previous, 13 months previous, 14 months previous to this, my friend committed suicide. And I had never really, I just, it happened. I never believed he was dead. We went to the funeral, all that. And it wasn't because of his death that I started down this road. I had started 6 months previous and was talking to him about everything, as you will see in the story, how real it all is. Let me tell you. So he grabbed my arm and I turned, in the 15 or 18-year-old Scotty, who looked like the 18-year-old Brad, right before my eyes, morphed into the 40-year-old Scotty who had just committed suicide 14 months previous. And so, instead of saying Brad, I said, Scotty. He said, Joe. And I, in absolute amazement, with barely able to speak, I said, you're, and he said with me, alive? He said, come on now. Come on, you knew that, you knew. He said, listen, first things first, you were right about the Bible. And I was in such a daze. I was like, huh? What? And he was like, come on now. Joe, this is real. You were right about the Bible. It's just the context. It's all lies. It's just a big, giant, magical hoax. And that snapped me out of it. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, it is. Right. He goes, we don't have much time. We're only allowed a certain amount of time. He was like, brother, ask me anything you want to know about after you die. I go, and just, I didn't think it. It came from somewhere else. I said, reincarnation. And he smiled, a very specific smile that I found out later what it meant. And he looked at me, literally winked and said, that's the thing I'm not allowed to tell you about. It's a mystery, but you're going to find out. I think you're on the way to finding out. I was like, huh? Am I? I was very much in a daze of like, what is really happening? And he goes, hey, think. Ask me anything you want to know. And I was trying. He goes, ask me this. Do we got herb there? And I go, do we got marijuana there? He goes, oh yeah, we got lots of bud there. And behind him was it seemed like a green screen. It turned into all perfectly geometrically aligned, perfect manicured buds. Just beautiful. He was like, just like that. I go, yeah, that's awesome. He goes, and we got mushrooms too. And interestingly, the background was filled up with geometrically aligned Amanita muscaria mushrooms, not psilocybin mushrooms. And I would later find out why. And I was like, yeah. He was like, and we fuck. And I was like, yeah. He was like, you knew it. I knew it. He was like, and we celebrated. And the last thing I said is, what have you been doing? And he said, I've been learning everything you're going to learn, because you're going to do it. You're doing it right now. And as he said, he started fading out. And I was just so thrilled. I knew that our time was up and that I had to go to the next part. And let me also say right here, ask me anything you want to know was a test question. That was the first question of the official initiation. The unofficial beginning was, are you afraid? The official beginning is, ask me anything you want to know. If I would have said anything besides reincarnation, the next part of this would have been different. It would not have progressed, because that was my answer to that question. My true self had a preset answer. It's not the gods who are testing you. It's your true self that's testing you. It's the gods that are making it possible, and they're the geniuses who know how to direct these things and lead you to knowledge, real knowledge, not faith, not nonsense, not something you don't understand. I understood and do now today everything that was taught to me, because it's all practical. And as that scene with my best friend, my comrade, that's also an initiated level, is like magic friendship, official friendship, comradeship, oneness. That's why he was waiting for me when I died. That's who will be waiting for you, your best friend. And it don't matter if he's dead or alive. It's all outside of this. So that scene gave way, and it literally sort of faded. And we said, goodbye till next time. And it was like I turned around, and there was at least 3 dudes standing there. And they were like young. They just looked like my regular friends, but none of them were friends on Earth in the simulation. They were friends back home on Venus who were so close, they're able to meditate their way into communicating with me in the simulation. And when I turned around, they were like, Joe, WhiteHawk, you did it. You did it. You did it, brother. They all 3 were saying, you did it, brother. And I smiled, and they knew why I was smiling. And I was like, I'm sorry. Did what? And they were like, you made it here. That's what you did. You're standing before us. And I was like, yeah, I'm tripping hard out of my body for only the second time in my life, because the first time I didn't choose it. I am outside my body, and what are you telling me now? And they were like, you did it, dude. And they're like, you did what? You changed everything. You changed the course of your life. Everything. You did it. That was the thing that had to be changed, was the out-of-body astral projection. And I'm like, huh? I was very like, huh? Are you talking to me? And I did it? And they're like, yeah, you did it. They were like, all it took was courage. And they were like, listen to us, WhiteHawk. The first thing we have to tell you is you're not a sinner. You're good. I was like, no, I can't say. They're like, no, dude, you are good. And I was like, nah, because I was still brainwashed. And one of my friends said to me, Joe, you have to understand, you're from the white race, the white light, and the good. Do you know what that means? And in my mind, I thought, and this is how brainwashed we all are. In my mind, I thought, that kind of sounds racist. White race, white light, the good. I was like, I don't know what any of that means. They laughed. They laughed because they understood how brainwashed I was. And basically, for real, they weren't going to let me go on until I stopped saying I was bad. The one friend said to me, they said, listen, we're not joking with you anymore. You're good, and you have to know that. They said to me, you've never, ever, Joe, ever had an evil intention. Ever. And they said, the goddess says so. And when they said that, the scene started to fade. And I only knew her as the Missouri River goddess up until that point. And I still had not remembered the woman on the first UFO visit. And I still had not connected the two UFO visits. Right? So remember where I'm at. Almost a clean slate of like, I don't understand reality, anything. Go ahead and explain it to me. Okay, and they're like, well, first of all, race is real, because they said, you want to know who you are? I said, yeah. And they said, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. They said to me, it's a technological exact projection of your DNA, and you will never, ever be anyone else. And in my mind, I thought, that makes sense. Why would I be someone else? Or why would I want to look like someone else? I want to be me, my DNA. So, of course. Very strange, because that connected up with the first 20-year previous of looking in the mirror, and I was not there. Right? Because I thought white people were evil. I was brainwashed that white people were evil. Okay? I grew up in the 80s. I was 21 in 1991. It's just, you better realize your enemies have done this to you. They've taught you your very DNA is evil because of your skin color. You know? So, I stood there and they're like, listen, you're good. And I was like, Maybe. And they were like, this is after I'm saying you've never had a bad intention. And they said, okay, then you tell us what evil things have you done. And strangely, I could not really, think evil. Well, and they were like, you see, you're good. You're the good. And they said, do you know what that means? I said, no. They said, you have been initiated into a group called the good and a group called the white light. And they said, that's the woman, the goddess. She requires that you be initiated into the white light, and you are. And when they kept saying the goddess, it kept like jarring me. And finally, they were like, we only have a little bit of time. It's almost over. We love you, brother. We love you. And I really started to feel like how close I was to these three people. We almost started to cry just how long. And they were like, we spoke to you. They were like, your ability is so good. You could hear us. You heard us and you responded to us. It made us so happy. We rejoiced and it faded. And let me tell you, these three things are perfect examples of the three most important things to my true self. Okay? And so, I'm literally saying goodbye to my three friends of home. And it was literally like I blinked and I am in a procession, crowd of people. And we're all dressed up and it looks like fancy Star Wars dress with a Asian influence. Very intricate, very beautiful. We're walking and all these people and it just felt great and it was very beautiful. We were like outside but inside some, kind of outdoor beautiful structure. And I'm walking in these people. And I look over and I see the Missouri River goddess, Maria, but I didn't know her name yet. And our eyes met. And we psychically spoke and she said, you're going to do it. You're going to pass. I love you so much. And I was like, you think so? I'm going to... And, this was a memory. So... as I'm seeing this scene, I'm also going in it because it's such a vivid memory. So I'm watching it, but I'm also going in it and living in it at times. I was living in it when we psychically spoke, and then I shot back and was looking at it, and I was like, hold on. Am I the focus of this? Because I don't want to be the focus of this. What the fuck is going on? No. And I started to get really nervous. Like, what do you mean I'm going to pass? I'm not going to pass anything. What? I don't even know what's going on. And then I'm back in the vision, walking next to Maria in a crowd of people. Just all patting me on the back going, you can do it, and just encouraging me. And suddenly I see another crowd procession going towards us. And I see in front of that procession like a Odin Gandalf type priest. Very cool looking, man. He looked awesome. And then I noticed, hey, there's one, leading our thing too. And they met, and I just absolutely couldn't believe it, in my current self, when the priest guy turned around and motioned for me to come up to the front. And see, I didn't know this was a memory of an initiation that had already taken place, right? This was the initiation into my marriage. And the procession that was meeting me was my wife's family. And this marriage is an initiation. You don't decide it. You have to pass a test to be married. Okay? So I'm back in my body, in the vision. I'm walking forward to the priest. And I am having memories. The exact memories that I had on Venus when this actually happened. And I was like, I know this is meant to be. If not, then so be it. But I know what it is. And as I walked forward, I was a bit nervous. And he didn't talk to me with his mouth. This was her ancestral priest, like. And he said to me, this woman, our daughter, is so very important to us. This is the only way we would ever agree for her to leave us in this way. This is the only way. And he said, can you see this? And he took his right hand and he flashed it across my face and all the way as far as he could stretch it out. And as he did, like a screen came out from his hand. And I seen, my present wife dressed in like an 1800s dress. And one of those like 1800s photographs. Black and white photograph. And he said, can you see this? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, what do you see? I said, I see my wife in a old dress, an old earth dress from the first time, from like the time that the goddess lived. And he said, you passed, but he said, the magic is that's not your wife. She didn't live in the first time. That was her ancestor. And I marveled. I said, it looked exactly like her. And he said, that's how important the self is to other selves. This is what family, ancestor means, that there are people so close to you. It's like there's one person so close to you. It's like looking in a mirror. And he took his hand in front of my face and he said, can you see this? And it was a picture. And it looked exactly like me. In like a Civil War, like a Revolutionary War uniform. I said, what? I didn't live back then? He said, no, you didn't. That's your ancestor. And I literally said, like, whoa. In my now current self, I said, whoa, that's crazy. That dude looks exactly like me. And that was the test, was could I see the projection that his mind was projection? Could I see it in the physical world? And it went on. And like I earlier stated, there is 3 of us in this magic marriage. But I'm going to end this first part 1 description of the official initiation, and I will continue hopefully through the entire initiation and properly reflect the awesome wisdom, knowledge, and power of our Vril mother, the happiest woman I know, the funniest woman I know, by far the best dancer. Let me just say, the most creative person I know is Maria Orsic.